Hi, I'm Dr. Dave Janda, and please welcome to our Operation Freedom platform, WeThePeopleProcessing.com. You know, are you tired of being threatened to be canceled just because you have a company focused on liberty and freedom? Well, worry no more, folks. WeThePeopleProcessing.com is your go-to merchant services, freedom-based company to provide business service payment solutions. We the People Processing provides their clients a cancel culture-free platform which is domestically based. They provide competitive rates, no contracts with next-day funding, a fully vetted and like-minded financial infrastructure, and full support for integrations, implementation, and e-commerce efforts. Bottom line, WeThePeopleProcessing.com focuses on defending your company's free market growth, values, and future. Check them out at www.WeThePeopleProcessing.com. Once you're on the site, enter in password Operation Freedom or call 855-499-2024. That's WeThePeopleProcessing.com. Then, when on the website, enter Operation Freedom as your password or call 855-499-2024.
Mr. President-elect,
go ahead.
Can you say
She's
categorically,
asking a question.
Mr. President-elect, can you give us a question?
Don't be
You're
rude.
attacking us. Can you give us a question?
Don't be rude. No, I'm not going to give you a question. I'm not going to give you a question.
Can you state categorically?
You are fake news.
Sir.
Hi, I'm Dr. Dave Janda. Welcome back to Dave versus the MSM. I'd like to thank you for joining me today. Hey, you can join us every Sunday for our radio show. It's live and it's free from Wham Talk 1600's Freedom Bunker. Every Sunday, as I mentioned, from 2 to 5 Eastern. How do you do it? You go to davejanda.com, hit the Listen Live button. It'll take you to Wham Talk 1600 streaming service. Hit play. Outstanding guests, outstanding analysis, information, the deep state's own bought-off lamestream fake media will never present. The title of today's presentation is, let's talk about accountability. Oh, yeah, the deep state, the cockroaches in the deep state, oh, they scurry away when you put the bright light of accountability on their antics and what they're trying to do to strip every American and, frankly, every person of the world of their freedom and their liberty. You know, we recently had a iconic sports event occurs every year, the Kentucky Derby. And there was a question about the winner, Medina Spirit, and the fact that it apparently had been drugged. And the discussion was that, well, we might have to strip the horse of its win and hold the race, essentially the winner, invalid. Well, isn't this interesting? We apparently hold the horse race and the horse to a higher standard that we do Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and what occurred in November of 2020. Interesting. So, for example, to get this drug test determination, the horse was tested that they were drugged. What about Joe Biden's medical records? You know, he's had a couple procedures done underneath his hood in the distant past. And he refuses to either take or release the results of his cognitive function testing. So we hold this horse, Medina Spirit, to a higher standard than we do Biden, the President of the United States. Make sense? Only if you're a globalist and a deep state hack. And the race, folks are saying, is going to be invalidated, the horse race, because of cheating. Okay. Now, did anybody call the officials at the Kentucky Derby conspiracy theorists when they said, we're going to test the horse for drugs? No. Just, hey, legitimizing the race and the results. So let's give credit to the folks running the race, the horse race. But in a political race, if you say, wait a minute, there are some issues here, and we have thousands of people under penalty of perjury that have signed sworn affidavits that there were problems in every state of this country with what happened in November 2020. And they're all crazy, or they're all conspiracy theorists according to the bought-off lamestream fake media. And if you or I question this situation of what happened, we're not patriotic. We're bad people. We're conspiracy theorists. We're sore losers. We just don't know how to move on. It's incredible. Incredible. So, my only question about the horse race and the Biden family involvement on this whole thing is, where was Hunter? I mean, we know Hunter's track record, right? I mean, he said on CBS TV, he put more crack cocaine up his nose. He put actually more Parmesan cheese up his nose, he said, thinking it was crack cocaine while he was crawling around on the floor. You think Hunter might have been involved in drugging that horse? Was he in Louisville, Kentucky, the day of the Kentucky Derby? Was he back in the stable? You think this all could be related? Yeah, I know. But we are holding a horse in a horse race to a higher standard than we are Biden-Harris and what happened in November of 2020. That's how off the rails this is. Let's talk about more accountability. You know, I've gotten heat over the years speaking about Bill Gates and how you got to be careful about this guy. And that Bill Gates is not exactly what everybody thinks he is. I have a number of friends that are in the tech industry, have been for decades. And the things I heard about him from people I know and trust were not positive. Well, now we hear that the guy who's telling you how you should run your health care life, right? And I can't say it, but remember, he's all about, and by the way, his foundation's under review, and I believe he's been sued in India related to what he did with over there related to polio. And the problems that have arisen since his program was put into place. Remember, there were always questions about this guy of late when it relates to his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein, right? And remember, in Epstein's will, one of the executors of his estate was related to Bill Gates and his involvement with Microsoft. Bill and Melinda Gates announced divorce after 27 years of marriage. The guy can't even keep his life in order, and he's telling you how you should run your life. Billionaire philanthropist Bill and Melinda Gates announced in a statement Monday afternoon that they will divorce after 27 years of marriage. Quote, after a great deal of thought and a lot of work on our relationship, we have made the decision to end our marriage. Over the last 27 years, we have raised 3 incredible children and built a foundation that works all over the world. Tell that to the folks in India. To enable all people to lead healthy, productive lives. Then this came out, actually from Bloomberg, no less. Gates' divorce talks started in 2019, partly due to his involvement with Jeffrey Epstein. Wall Street Journal actually spoke about this as well. Melinda Gates began working with divorce lawyers well over a year before her split with Bill Gates was announced last week, partly over concerns over her husband's dealing with convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein, according to the Wall Street Journal. As early as October 2019, saying the marriage was, quote, irretrievably broken, end quote. Her unease about her ex-husband's ties to Epstein dates back to at least 2013. And now, an employee has come forward and said that Gates, sexually harassed her in 2000. And in fact, that was not the only incidence of his aggression. It appears he sexually harassed many people to the point where the board of directors in 2019 wanted him off. This is of Microsoft. And what's Bill Gates' response to all this? Like a true globalist. What? I mean, I've read out their playbook. Bill Gates, quote, "I'm a victim of conspiracy theories," end quote. That's not from The Onion. No, he actually said that. Bill Gates, "I have no idea why I flew on Jeffrey Epstein's plane," or why, this is from Emerald Robinson from Newsmax, who said, Bill Gates, okay. "I have no idea why I flew on Jeffrey Epstein's plane, or why I funneled money through Epstein to MIT, or why my wife is divorcing me, or why Epstein named my science advisor as the executor of his will." Right. Yeah, Emerald called it right. It is, it's just more this globalist hypocrisy. They're trying to tell you how to run your life into the ground, by the way, while they can't even run their lives. If you take medical advice from Bill Gates, you're nuts. I'm telling you this. As someone who's practiced medicine for over 35 years, you're nuts if you listen to Gates. And remember, there are many people in the IT industry who believe that he's a front, okay, for the intelligence agencies. Just look at his daddy. Big-time lawyer, right? But also look at who his daddy was associated with. Not good. And then we have more. Let's do more accountability. Liz Cheney. "Oh, Trump's horrible," and "oh, the MAGA people are terrible." And I mean, what do you expect? The apple doesn't fall far from her father's tree, right? Her father, big-time globalist. She, big-time globalist. But she also has ties to China. So does that make... Wait, you haven't heard that in the bought-off lamestream fake media? Of course you haven't. They've been telling you how wonderful she is and how she's, just like Bill Gates, a victim. Liz Cheney's husband works for a Chinese Communist Party-linked law firm. Liz Cheney's husband, the law firm, represents several Chinese Communist Party-linked clients, including firms tied to the regime's military, and employs former party officials to undergird its massive China practice, the National Pulse revealed. Philip Perry, the husband of the House Republican Conference Chair, former, serves as a partner at Latham & Watkins. The firm, which has offices in Shanghai and Beijing, has worked with companies labeled, quote, "tools," end quote, of the Chinese Communist Party by the United States State Department and People's Liberation Army collaborators. That from the National Pulse. Now let's talk a little more accountability while we're on this. Our own commandant of the largest POW camp in all North America, that being the state of Michigan, where I am, Commandant Klink, from Hogan's Heroes fame, of our POW camp here in Michigan, Gretchen Whitmer. That would be the same Gretchen Whitmer who had executive orders taking COVID-positive patients and shuttling them to COVID-negative nursing homes, killing thousands. This would be the same Gretchen Whitmer who campaigned with Biden and made our state an initial hotspot in March of 2020. And then when cases started to rise again, it just happened to be 2 weeks after she did her BLM arms across, they're holding each other's arms and walking around. Boom, next thing, we get a surge. And then that would be the same Gretchen Whitmer who's been involved in Biden's refugee resettlement program. And as Victor Avila has stated, a former ICE agent who was down on the border for several weeks, who came on our platform and was speaking about what he noted and observed and documented and discussed with other border officials in our southern border. Folks are coming across the border. They're not being tested. Then they're being put on commercial airliners to Michigan, Minnesota, Massachusetts, New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania. Oh yeah, that would be the same states that saw a surge in, and I can't say the word, over 30 some years in medicine, and I can't say anyway, related to the V word. we started seeing a surge again. 2 weeks after these people were being shuttled up here. That was Whitmer behind that. And then Whitmer said, nobody should leave the state. No. Nobody should leave because we're having a surge. We're having a surge because of her and her policies. So then it came out that our chief operating officer over spring break, while we were told we couldn't go anywhere for can't leave the state. Oh no, and those people in Florida, they're terrible. They're just terrible. That's what she was saying. Her chief operating officer ends up in Key West on vacation. Oh, documented. She gets mad. Oh, it's terrible. I'm being picked upon that people are saying it's bad. Wait a minute. If none of us are supposed to leave the state, what are you doing? And then it comes out her newly appointed health director was in spring break in Gulf Shores, Alabama. Okay. And then, as I mentioned, it came out that good old Commandant Clink, Gretchen Whitmer, ended up in Florida when we're being told we can't go anywhere. And then, and I talked about this on our subscription platform a couple weeks ago, Gretchen Whitmer took Detroit businessmen's plane to Florida. And that businessman said, quote, you can't tell a governor no, end quote. Not this one. Oh, not that, not Commandant Clink. Oh, no. Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer took a private jet to Florida in March, violating the spirit of her orders for everyone else not to travel. This from Kyle Olson. Deadline Detroit reported Whitmer, quote, asked a group of wealthy Detroit businessmen to provide a private plane they share, end quote, so she could travel to Florida. She later said it was so she could visit her, quote, ailing father, end quote. More on that in a little bit. This is what the businessman said, quote, we wondered why she reached out to us instead of booking a private charter, end quote, one of the owners said, speaking on the condition anonymity. Quote, you can't tell a governor no, not this one. Who needs that kind of trouble, end quote. Reporting for Deadline Detroit, Charlie LaDuff said Whitmer spent 4 days in Florida. You'll love this part. LaDuff reported the anonymous businessmen, quote, have major dealings in and with the state of Michigan, end quote. Whitmer's office, shocking this, refused to provide additional details about the governor's trip, citing, quote, ongoing security concerns, end quote. What security concerns? Yeah. Whitmer previously complained to the Washington Post that criticisms of her apparent hypocrisy were, quote, maddening, end quote. Oh, imagine calling her on the carpet. And then this came out this past week because she doesn't like being held accountable. Oh, no. Transparency? Please, everybody but me. Gretchen Whitmer changes her story about her trip now. Drops original claim she traveled at her own expense. Well, who's paying for this? Those same businessmen who have contracts with the state? That sounds rather criminal, don't you think? Yeah. This is from the original report in April through the MIRS system, MIRS, Michigan News Service. This is what was said in April. While Communications Director Tiffany Brown wouldn't say where the Democratic governors traveled, Florida we know, a source tells MIRS that Whitmer's father, Richard Whitmer, has a home in Florida. Brown told MIRS, noting that governor traveled at her own expense and that utilized no state resources. Okay. And Brown said Governor Whitmer wasn't on spring break, but was assisting, quote, her elderly father, who was battling a chronic illness, end quote. Oh, how wonderful of her. What a good daughter. Yeah. Her father, by the way, former CEO of Blue Cross Blue Shield Insurance Company here in Michigan. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Part of the medical industrial complex. Huge. Okay, so that was then, in April. Now, here we are now, in May. Quote, she was pushed on this trip issue. Doesn't like it. It's maddening. It was just a brief trip. It was not a vacation, and it was not a gift. All right. If it wasn't, wait a minute. Who's paying for this thing? Quote, this flight was not a gift, she kept saying. Quote, this flight was not paid for at taxpayer expense. All right, well, who paid for it? You didn't pay for it. Taxpayers didn't pay for it. Who paid for it? Those businessmen? The ones who have a contract with the state? Who said that they essentially felt coerced in you taking their plane? Yeah, that'd be it. It's not clear why she did not simply say she, quote, traveled at her own expense, end quote, as her office originally claimed. Bright News asked Whitmer's office why her story changed and if she could provide any evidence to indicate who paid for the private plane. But neither Communications Director Tiffany Brown nor Press Secretary Bobby Leedy would explain. Whitmer's secret Florida trip came just days before she urged Michiganders not to travel to this very same state. After that demand, two of her top aides, Chief Operating Officer Tricia Foster and Department of Health and Human Services Director Elizabeth Hurdle, went to Florida and Alabama, respectively, for spring break. Oh, by the way, the governor's claim she was tending to her ill father, was undermined when, in fact, her father was spotted shopping and driving in not Florida, but in Michigan, in Lansing, weeks later. Yeah. Accountability and transparency. That's what they despise and fear. And frankly, folks, that's how we beat them. We expose them. We expose their hypocrisy. We expose their lies. We expose their their two standards, one for them and one for us. That's how we hold them accountable, and that's how we defeat them. It's that simple. I hope you'll join me. Now look, our Operation Freedom briefing is no longer here on YouTube because you can't go into great depth on certain issues. That's up at davejanda.com. I post it every Tuesday morning right after this comes up, Dave versus MSM, on my website, davejanda.com. My Operation Freedom briefing is there. I hope you'll go there. Now, in addition, we have a lot of other free content. If you haven't seen the interviews I have done with Dr. Lee Merritt and now Dr. Richard Fleming. Richard is a MD, a PhD, incredible research scientist, and a JD, a lawyer. In both of those interviews, we speak about the data and the science. What we do is we provide informed consent. I believe the vast majority of folks that are not being given the appropriate and comprehensive informed consent. And that's what we provide. For your own health and welfare, you need to watch those two interviews. Now, they were part of our subscription platform. We've moved them on the free side, the public side. They're there free, right on the homepage, right there, right next to Operation Freedom Briefing. Watch those, and then network those to everyone you know and love. They are truly important and critical pieces of information and documentation that you will never get in the bought-off lamestream fake media. In addition, we have the subscription site at davejanda.com. $9 a month, biggest bang for the buck in all the internet. Extra shows, our WTF geopolitical video format show on Wednesdays, our Insider Insight show on Thursdays, our Department of Advanced Research show hosted by Nick Ruiz, our healthcare policy series that I've done, our contributing editor section, all the archives to all of our shows, the podcast for all of our radio shows are there 24/7 for all of our subscribers. We hope you become part of our Freedom family. Until next time, Dave Janda signing off. Dream big and dare to fail. Thanks for your time today.